Hello everyone, and this is BioPhoenix here, and today we're doing another random ass anime review, and the one I'm picking for today happens to be Princess Rouge, The Legend of the Last Labyrinth. So this one is considered as a romance, fantasy, and comedy, and in a lot of ways does remind me a little bit of the anime Oh My Goddess. But I'll talk about that much later, and also this is a 2-episode OVA, so with that said, let's get talking about the story, which should not take long at all. So our stars our main character Yusuke, who happens to be a high school student who is very average and typical, and while being late for school, he ends up seeing some chick fall from the sky, and that happens to be our other main character, being Princess Rouge. So as you would expect, Princess Rouge has amnesia. Oh yeah, where have we heard that one before? But then Yusuke just says, well, fuck school, I'm gonna go take care of her, so he brings her home and, puts her in bed because she's like all soaking wet. And as you would expect, there's a freak accident happening where she thinks that he is like a kidnapper, but obviously he's not. And it turns out that, the only thing she remembers is her name is Rouge. So eventually they start to like hang out together, go on dates, and all that kind of fancy stuff. But one day when he comes back home, he finds 2 other girls that are there that are dressed very fantasy-like, and that being Kaiju and Maiju. Yeah, Kaiju. Yeah, she's named after like a Godzilla genre. So these 2 characters are actually the royal guards for Princess Rouge from the underworld, and they of course explain that, that they're from the underworld. So after a misunderstanding, they think that Yusuke is like an evil bastard, but he's not, and then of course there's like some monsters attacking the world that are also trying to capture Princess Rouge. And they have to protect her at all costs from the evil King Raiga. And yeah, that's basically it for the story, at least for the basic stuff. And yeah, the story is pretty similar to Oh My Goddess, but I wouldn't say it's like an exact ripoff though, but it definitely does have some inspiration from it. Like, just to cover some differences is that, well, for one, Yusuke is not like a total pervert, which is actually kind of refreshing. Also, Princess Rouge is not a goddess and she can't grant people's wishes. Also, there seems to be a bit more focus on action in this one, where in the Oh My Goddess OVA, there really wasn't much at all. It was more like just a straight up romantic comedy. But one big thing that it does share in common with, though, is that it's one of those animes where, main character finds a girl, and then of course, like, everything that's connected to the girl ends up, like, trying to, like, live at the main character's house. Yeah, this is certainly not the last one to have something like that happen. So yeah, that's all I have to say for now, so let's get moving on and start talking about the show's animation. And the animation this one is kind of hit and miss. Like, there are some parts of this anime that actually look really good, and then there's other parts where like, it just looks really choppy and low budget as shit. But I would say that there is more good looking animation than there is like the choppy bad ones though, but there is a little bit of some inconsistencies though. But I'd say that my favorite part about the animation would have to be the art direction. I think it looks great. Not only does it have some pretty nice backgrounds, but it also does have a lot of really cool character details that I really like. In fact, I would say that the characters Kaiju and Maiju, they kind of remind me of a mixture of Magi Knight Rayearth meets Valis, so I think that's actually pretty cool. And some of the villain characters are pretty cool looking too, so yeah, overall, I would say that the animation, this one, I would say it's decent overall, mainly because it does have some inconsistencies with the animation flow at certain parts, but aside from that, it is good, but overall, I'd say it's decent. And now, as for the show's music, the music in this one is pretty good. It's very upbeat, and it does have some really nice tunes, but it's nothing super mind-blowingly catchy or memorable, but I do think it is fitting for the show, and I did like it for what it was. And the show's ending theme was pretty good as well. I did like it was kind of soothing. So yeah, unfortunately there's not a whole lot I get to say here, but I would say that the OST is mostly pretty good. I mean, at least it doesn't sound like Crazy Bus, so that's a plus. Alright, so now, as for the show's voice acting, so for this one, because it's 2 episodes, I watched the first episode in English, and then I watched the second episode in Japanese. And of course, the only one I can actually make comments about is on the English voice acting, and all I have to say is that it's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be, but I can't say it's good because it's pretty mediocre. But one thing that is amusing about this cast though, is that the two main characters are both voiced by the same two main characters from the Oh My Goddess OVA. So maybe that's another reason why people like to say this is a ripoff of that anime. But are they at least done well? Well, unfortunately, not really. I mean, it's not terrible like I said, but it's just nothing that really stands out and nothing that's really memorable about it. But then again, I can't remember if I said I liked or didn't like the voice acting within Oh My Goddess though, because it has been such a long time since I've seen it. But unfortunately, I can say for here that it's really nothing memorable at all. But if there is one nice thing I get to say about it, is that the voice for Vega, yeah, no, not that Vega from Street Fighter, but she is one of the main bad guys within the first episode, and I actually think she did do a decent job in this one. Definitely a lot better than like every other character I found. But aside from that, yeah, there's really nothing to write home about here. So now, as my overall thoughts on Princess Rouge and the Legend of the Last Labyrinth is that, well, this is an anime that's kinda hard to review for one main reason that I have yet to explain. So because this anime has 2 episodes, believe it or not, there was actually going to be more episodes, but they never got made, which is a damn shame, because I actually think that this show actually had potential to be pretty good, or maybe if not pretty good, then at least, you know, decent and mindless fun. Because at the ending of episode 2, it totally seemed like that there was going to be more episodes. It was just like a cliffhanger, no like big epic climactic thing, nah. So because of that, that's how I know for a fact that there was going to be more episodes. But unfortunately, we never got them. So this is like one of those unfinished type of animes. So because of that, I do find that this one is a little hard to review just because, you know, I can't say it's total shit because, you know, it was unfinished, but I also can't really say it's great or amazing because, well, there's just not a whole lot here to be said. So I think that calling this anime average is fitting for that, you know, it's nothing overly amazing, it's nothing mind-blowing, but I also didn't think it was bad and boring. So I think calling it average is fair. So yeah, so the thing is that I do think this anime actually could have been a pretty good fun ride for that, you know, it did have some little fun parts here and there, it was kinda cute, and also the action scenes were pretty fun. And while the characters were pretty typical and stock at first, there were some things that were a little bit refreshing about them, for like I said, about the main character Yusuke, he's not like a typical pervert, asshole, jerk-off kind of deal. Instead, he's more of just a nice guy that actually cares about those around him. Which I guess is still typical in its own way, but I've just seen so many animes where like the main character is just a piece of shit that just wanted to fuck everything in sight. And I think that the characters, if they had more episodes to go on more, I think they could have actually been decent characters, but unfortunately, yeah, like I said, they're nothing super memorable despite the fact that they have some pretty cool designs. So knowing all this, it's a little hard to recommend this one because, you know, it's not great, but it's also not awful either. It's just very mild and middle of the road, so yeah. It's a little tough to recommend, but I'd say it's not the worst thing you'll ever do. I mean, it's at least better than some other fucked up shit that I've seen before, which I'll not go into. But yeah, it really is unfortunate that the series only had like 2 episodes, and get this, there's not even a manga of this shit either, so meaning that the outcome of this anime is like unknown. So I'd say that it's a pretty inoffensive anime that did have some potential to be a lot better.